Hello viewers, welcome to Indian Americans of Irvine and Orange County Forum. In the coming days, we will discuss various propositions and issues that directly affect our community. Professor Prof Sinha, who is founder of this group, studied all propositions and he will give us insight on these topics. For our upcoming videos, we have plans to invite experts who will simplify complex topics for a better understanding. Now, I invite Professor Sinha to inform us about Proposition 14.
Thanks, Anjali. Today we'll be talking about Proposition 14, Stem Cell Research Institute Bond Initiative, that will be on the ballot this coming November, and you'll have to vote yes or no on this proposition. Vote of yes means that the state will issue new bonds for $5.5 billion to fund the Stem Cell Research Institute, which effectively means the state is going to borrow that money. A vote of no means that no state funding for this institute, which means that the institute will have to either find private sources of funding or basically be out of business. So let's try to understand a little bit about the background for Proposition 14. Californians passed Proposition 71 in 2004, and that proposition led to the creation of the Stem Cell Research Institute, SCRI. It also authorized $3 billion in general obligation bonds to fund this institute. These funds were used to give out grants for stem cell research. So basically, Proposition 14 is extending Proposition 71 at this time. So let's try to understand why it was being created at that time. It was created because the US Congress in 1996 and then President George W. Bush in 2001 prohibited federal funding for embryonic stem cell research. And that halted all the research in this very promising area. That time, all this research was new. There was a lot of moral, ethical, and other concerns. And President George W. Bush, being a born-again Christian, was strongly against research in that area. Robert Klein, a real estate investor, was behind Proposition 71 in 2004. And he was able to garner enough support from his personal funds to get this resolution approved. He is also behind Proposition 14, which is what you'll be voting this coming November. So let's try to understand what has Proposition 71 done, or SCRI done, over the last 16 years. Well, SCRI has given out more than 1,000 grants to researchers all across California. And most of these researchers were affiliated with the top Californian universities. So effectively, SCRI did what it promised. It jump-started stem cell research by providing the much-needed funding. So I would say on a scorecard, SCRI will get a pretty high score for doing what it was supposed to do. There's one other metric by which you can evaluate SCRI, which is the return on investment. SCRI is supposed to receive royalties from discoveries made from these grants. And these returns have been very, very dismal, 0.001% of the investment. Though a metric, I would not spend too much time looking at it, but definitely it's one measure of its performance. Let's try to ask the question, which is SCRI still needed? First and foremost, barriers to doing stem cell research were removed in 2009. So the primary reason for which SCRI was created does not exist anymore. And this happened when President Obama lifted the federal funding ban on stem cell research, and that led to a good amount of responsible research in this area. Let's try to understand a little bit of the structure of funding in the US. Most scientific and health-related research in US is conducted by grants given out by NSF, which is National Science Foundation, and NIH, which is the National Institute of Health. And there are other federal agencies as well. Researchers all over the country, not just California, are getting federal grants to conduct research in this area now. So the lifting of the federal ban has really opened up funding and spurred the research in this area. To give you a sense, NIH alone gave out 1.5 billion stem cell research grants in 2016. And that is the most recent year of data that I have available. So based on all this, I would say case for funding SCIR is much weaker now than it was 16 years ago. So in summary, SCRI played a very important role during 2004 through 2009 when funds were needed for doing stem cell research. It really put California ahead of other states, and that was a very good outcome for California. Dedicating $5.5 billion for this specific purpose now when more competing needs exist is not that justifiable as it was 16 years ago. From an economic efficiency point of view, you can think that efficient allocation of research funding requires a competitive marketplace of ideas, a marketplace where good ideas can be funded and bad ideas can be discarded. And it also requires some kind of a governmental oversight. In the case of SCRI, it lacks both. NIH and NSF basically have both those mechanisms in place, and they're able to get additional funding in areas that are badly in need of additional funding. So state of California right now can use these funds for other pressing purposes during this COVID crisis, or simply by avoiding increasing its debt. So if you really are passionate about stem cell research, of course, this would be a yes for you. But if you look at the broader picture and try to see what where the stem cell research stands at this point of time, the case is definitely much weaker now than it was 16 years ago. I hope this information was helpful to you in making an informed decision about how to vote on this proposition. If you need additional information, it will be provided to you next in terms of how you can contact us and learn more about other propositions that we are working on. Thank you very much. I appreciate your listening.
Thank you, Professor Sinha. Viewers, hope you found this video informative. If you have any comments or wish to watch our next video, please contact us by sending an email at ia.irvine.oc@gmail.com. We will come up with another video soon. Stay tuned. Thank you.